Welcome to the overview of the Buncefield fire. It was officially known as the Hertfordshire Oil Storage Terminal fire. It was on December 11, 2005. This incident became one of the largest industrial explosions ever recorded in Europe during peacetime. The event began when a gasoline storage tank overflowed due to multiple cascading safety failures. This included a stuck level gauge and a disabled high level switch. The overflow created a massive vapor cloud that ignited, resulting in a blast strong enough to register on the Richter scale. More than 40 people were injured, but incredibly, there were no fatalities. The size and impact of this explosion revealed major weaknesses in operational oversight, equipment maintenance, and safety culture. Where and when it occurred. This explosion occurred on at the Buncefield Oil Storage Terminal in Hemel Hempstead, which is right there, Hertfordshire, England. This was a suburban industrial area surrounded by commercial buildings, businesses, and neighborhoods, and it was closely located to the busy M1 motorway. The explosion took place early Sunday morning at around 6:01 a.m. on December 11, 2005. Timing that luckily prevented the death of a lot of people. It was calm weather that morning and allowed an unusually large and stable vapor cloud to form. Because of its proximity to major transport routes and populated areas, the incident quickly became a national and international point of concern, prompting a reevaluation of UK's coma safety regulations. This was also in a modern automated tank filling systems that were commonly in practice, as well as a post-Seveso directive of 1976, which required for safety of oil and stuff, which required safety reports, emergency plans, and public info to be shared. Circumstances. So several failures aligned to cause this accident. It wasn't just one. Tank 912 there had been filling for over 11 hours, and the automatic level gauge meant to track the rising fuel level had jammed. At the same time, the backup high level, which is also in there, shut-off switch, an essential line of defense, had been rendered inoperable, likely because of a padlock wasn't fitting or there was just machine loose. They never actually found that specifically out. Control room staff also missed manual indicators showing that something was wrong as the tank overflowed. Over 300 tons of gasoline poured out and around, and then it went out into the buns and then was eventually also ignited because of this cloud of it pouring out. So action prevention. A number of actions could have prevented or at least minimized the disaster. First, routine testing of both safety layers on the tank. That would have been the level gauge and the high level shutoff. They should have been tested. If they would have identified the failures long before the incident, tank filling. Procedures needed detailed written instructions, especially regarding how operators should respond to abnormal alarms and readings. They didn't act whenever they got these alarms because they were there. They just didn't do anything about it. Management needed prioritize their process safety over their operational speed. They're more focused on pumping out this oil very quickly in high volumes, but that also came at a cost of their safety features and that they didn't pay attention accurately enough. Um, the bun should have been built higher, would have prevented that runoff from getting into pollution. And they should have also just improved training, clear oversight, and stronger safety. There wasn't much of a safety culture there at the time, especially since nothing like that had really happened before. Legal outcomes. So the legal fallout of this was extensive and very high. Um, Multiple companies were persecuted, mainly the Total UK and Hertfordshire oil storage. That totaled around 12.5 million US dollars. There was also some liabilities that were charged that equated to about 750 million pounds, which is around probably which I believe is around 900 million US dollars. The sentencing judge sharply criticized the company for slackness, inefficiency, and complacent attitude towards their safety. They're brought under the Health and Safety at Work Act, the Control Major Accident Hazards, that is mainly the UK safety standards. They were found negligent um, as they didn't uh, do anything when they actively knew what problems were happening. And as along with the liabilities, there were civil compensation claims. Neglect and carelessness. Investigators found widespread neglect of laws, standards, and basic safety principles. The site failed to comply with UK's COMA standards, which were highly important. They were specifically designed to prevent those major fuel storage accidents. Maintenance of critical safety devices were insufficient. They just had no clue that they were broken. The responsibilities between the site owner and the site operator were unclear. This created gaps in oversight that allowed for more issues to happen without having proper oversight. The faulty gauge was known to be unreliable. It was a known issue, and it could have been easily replaced. And the high-level switch was also left non-functional. The Water Resources Act was violated due to polluting and entering soil. That could have been easily prevented with higher-level bunds walls that should have been able to stop uh, this problem. Defensive actions. So they just argued that the explosion of this scale was not actively happened yet, and that involving such a large vapor cloud that it was unpredictable, and that in that industrial setting, and that it really wasn't preventable. They also emphasized the outstanding response of emergency services that kept the situation from escalating further and helped ensure no loss of life. They also attempted to place part of the responsibility on the equipment manufacturers for malfunctioning equipment, but they also were actively knew that these issues were problems. All of this was just mainly just to kind of skirt away from the initial problem of their negligence and their um, inability to actually go out and fix the problems that they knew were happening. Attack of actions, they were also pretty straightforward along with the defensive actions. They had argued that the operator's actions demonstrated a deeply flawed safety culture. There were known issues with the tank's level gauge long before the accident, yet no meaningful repairs took place. Supervisors were overextended. The tank filling procedures were poorly enforced. Investigators found that operations were prioritized over safety, and the fast facility lacked the robust process controls expected at a high hazard site. Environmental groups also targeted them because of their pollution of the area. There are my references. Thank you.